Hey there, Ornery Mule racing fans. We are so stoked to welcome you to tonight's book club discussion. The Dirt Diva herself, Catra Corbett, zooms in to discuss with our readers her book, Reborn on the Run. You will love this episode as the Dirt Diva digs in with some deep advice on fighting addiction, managing long runs, and healthy eating. And of course, you can guess the lively Catra has us laughing many times. And to top off the fun, Catra's famous dog TruMan makes an appearance. And stick around to the end as Catra shares with us her favorite and latest tattoo. Head Mule Michelle Hartwig joins us at the trailhead in Crystal Lake, Illinois. And we turn it over now to our book club host, Coach Loretta Tobolski-Horn.
Well, thank you for coming. Anybody in the audience, if you have questions, if you put it in the chat, we'll get you an opportunity to get some of your questions answered. We'll kind of go along and let Catra share her story, and you, if you have questions that comes up, just add them in there. I'm just going to start us out with Catra. We are on chapters like 5 through 11, so we haven't completely finished your book. Well, there are some of us that have actually finished it, but we've kind of broken up into 4 weeks. So you talk about when you first started running, you were more of a road runner, and then you turned to trail, and that was your first, I think it was your first marathon, and you talked about how much more difficult it is. Would you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, the second year when I started running, I was going to try to run all the marathons in California. So that meant that I had to run trail marathons, and I knew nothing. And this is back in 97. Yeah, 97. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I mean, how hard could it be? I hadn't run on trails at all. There was no training or anything involved. And so I did this race. It was in the Marin Headlands in San Francisco, which is super hilly. And I was not prepared for that at all. And so it was difficult. There wasn't aid stations every mile. In fact, this organization, they would put out some gallons of water basically every 5 or 7 miles. So that was something entirely different to me because I was used to running on the road where you have water every mile. And I had to go out and buy a waist pack. At the time, they didn't have like nice hydration vests like I use and all of that now. So I had like a waist thing with a water bottle, and I read, the race director said you should carry 1 bottle. And I was like, oh, I have to get a thing. There was no internet really back then either. So that, it was just like you try to figure out what you could figure out on your own. So yes, it was very difficult. So I remember after I finished, because it was 2 loops, I think it was a 2 loops course, and I finished the first loop, and then my mom was waiting. She goes, oh, good, you're finally done. And I said, no, I have to go again. And she thought, oh my God, why are you so slow? Because I was used to doing marathons like in 4 hours or under 4 hours, and this was entirely different. And, it's like I wasn't used to, having to like follow markings or so. But I, doing that very first trail marathon, I was like, wow. So I really kind of, got excited about running on trails because it was definitely challenging. So,
what advice would you give to someone who is just starting out on trails?
Well, there's so much information now. So with me, it was like I had to learn on my own. There was like no book or people talking about it, or like I said, there was no internet. When we signed up for races, you mailed a check-in. There were checks, so you would like get an entry form out of like a running magazine, and you would send in a check. That's how you did it. So, but the advice I give, especially going from trail, I mean, we have so many, unique things to use when we're out there. So you want to always make sure you, if it's an easy trail, you don't really need trail shoes. But when you start running on stuff that has a lot of rocks and a lot more hills, you're going to need running shoes with good traction, because if you put a pair of road shoes on, you're going to slip on your ass and you're going to hurt yourself. So that's one thing you need to know, bringing, hydration with you, because when you're on a trail, it's going to take, say you're going out just for a 10K run, it's going to take you longer than if you're running on the road. You're going to be done in an hour. You go out on a trail, and if it's pretty hilly and significant, it's going to take you a couple hours, and you should bring something with you, And then I always say, be more aware of your surroundings when you're on a trail, because there are snakes, there's a lot to be aware of. So you should be paying attention at all times when you're out there. I mean, where I used to run, we had mountain lions, I see mountain lions and things like that. So you just have to be more aware of your surroundings, but always carry, like, nowadays we have cell phones. So if you twist an ankle and you're, on a trail and you're kind of far out there, you need to be able to call somebody to come help you. Or one of my big things is being out in the wilderness. If you know you're going to have no reception, you should carry a spot device or an InReach. And these are just things for your safety. If you hurt yourself and there's nobody out on the trail or nobody around, you need to get a rescue. It's a matter of life and death, carrying one of these devices. And living where I live now in the mountains, it's like, I go out for long periods of time, but when I know I'm not going to have cell reception, which is the majority of the time when I go up in the mountains, I always have my spot device. So my boyfriend can follow me. He can see that where I'm at. If all of a sudden I don't come home, and I'm hours and hours late, and, or I could press it if I need an emergency rescue. That's not had to happen yet. So, but yeah, just, make sure you're aware of your surroundings when you're on a trail, and know that it's going to be a lot slower until you get used to running that type of terrain, because it's totally different than running on a road. You don't have to pay attention. You're just one foot in front of the other and just kind of like, not paying attention. But trails, you definitely have to pay attention. And I feel like running on trails, it'll take a little while to build up strength, because it's totally different. You're using a whole bunch of different muscles, and actually I feel like you're less likely to get injured running on a trail, meaning that you're using all these different muscle groups once you get in the groove of it. Of course you can fall and hurt yourself that way, but just, people ask me, how have you been able to run without getting injuries? And I was like, I never ran a lot of roads. I mostly ran trails, and I think that saved my body a lot, just because of that pounding on the asphalt or the cement. I didn't have to worry about that. My knees are fine, my legs are fine.
I'm not sure if everybody else experiences this, but the roots kind of get me when I'm out on the trails. Do you have any tips for trying to avoid roots and such?
They always grab my feet and trip me. So you just got to be, you figure out how to look ahead. So when you're running trails, you always kind of want to have your gaze in front of you, so that way you can make that quick turnover on your legs and go in and out of the trail. Out of the route, because sometimes your foot can fit in between, or you have to step on them. And here we have a lot of rocks. So some of them are slippery, or some of them are staying put. So you got to always pay attention when you step on a rock that you could, you just got to be I always try to go in between the roots when I'm running on roots. I don't try to step on them, because sometimes if they're wet, they could be slippery and you could go flying off. But just try to tiptoe through them.
All right.
Figure out a quick cadence through it.
All right. Well, maybe I'm sort of doing it right, except I spent some time on the ground.
Yeah, that's I'm klutzy, so it's like, knock on wood, I haven't fallen in a while, but I used to fall a lot. Lately, I've gotten better. I think just from living here for the last 2 years, I'm so into the mountains, and the trails here are pretty rugged, so I tend to slow down when I'm, going downhill. Before I used to go really fast, and that, like, here you just have to be careful. And I know, where I'm at, I'm way out here, and it's like I can't get hurt. If I'm with other people, then I most likely run faster. But if I'm by myself, I'm very, very aware, and like, I gotta be careful. I don't want to hurt myself. I used to run a lot faster downhill where I used to live, and I was always falling. It's like I just go crazy. But now I'm a little more cautious, maybe because I'm older.
So I was kind of reflecting. Actually, I listened to you or your book as I was running, and I was thinking, when you started out, there probably weren't the Garmins and such.
Oh, there was
there.
none.
Was there? Did you have watches to tell you? Yeah.
No. That was in '96. There was nothing like that. So in my book, I talk about it. Like, how did I figure out how far was 9 miles? It was like, you put the odometer in your car and you hit that. And so when running on trail, so I did that in the beginning when I was running on the roads. I would know, because I set the odometer, which is pretty accurate, wherever you're going to go. And it's like, okay, I know I go 4.5 miles, and then I flip around when I get out there, go back home, and that's going to be my 9 miles. But on trail, I would look at the trailhead map or whatever, and it has like, the mileage. So I just add up, like, okay, that's a mile to that post, that's a mile here. So that's how you figured it out. There was no other way. Or if there wasn't a map, you just figured like how fast you were going. And later on when I got Garmin's and stuff, it was pretty accurate. My thought of process was like, okay, I'm running this speed up a hill, and it was pretty accurate. So, but yeah, no, there was nothing like that.
Nice.
Yeah, and there was hardly any like trail markers on these trails that now that I run back in the Bay Area where I used to live. It's like they have nice posts now with mileage markers and things. There was nothing like that. You just had to know, okay, that's where you make a right. There was no sign there. You just knew from doing it and adventuring. I'd go out by myself and I'm like, okay, I'd be scared, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a right today and see where it takes me. What can happen to me? I just can turn around and go back, and I'll be back to the parking lot at some point. So, and that's how I learned, like, just where to go, because all my friends are always like, how do you know where to go? Even here in Bishop, we don't have, unless you go out in the mountains, but there's not really a lot of marking. It's like we have what's a Gaia map, which I have on my phone now, so I look at that and I go, okay, I'm going the right direction if I want to go around this loop. But there's no, in the wilderness, there's not signage out there, so you just figure it out. And that's how I find my way around. I go, okay, I'm going to take a left or not a right today, and just figure it out. And that's what I've done here living in Bishop. I'm like, okay. I'm not going to die out here. It's like I could see the mountains are over there, and that's where my house is, because it's high desert. So I'm not in a forest, which is totally different because you can get turned around. But I could be up high on a peak, and I'm like, there's Mount Tom. There's the White Mountain. I know exactly where I'm at because I live in a valley. And so if I'm up on one side or the other, I can see where to go. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
So in the book, you were talking about how you really wanted badly to call yourself an ultramarathoner, and you actually ran some ultra distances, but still didn't consider yourself an ultramarathoner. I think that you were really striving for that 100-mile race. And even at that point, I'm not sure you considered yourself that. Can you share a little bit what you were thinking?
So, I did a couple of 50Ks and a couple of 50 milers. And I always just felt, because I was reading information at that point, I was getting a subscription to ultrarunning magazine. So I just kept reading, like, everybody was doing these 100-milers, and this is way back in the day. And they, like, a lot of those old school people, they went right from a 50K or a 50-miler or right into a 100-miler, because there was no internet. Once again, there was no like build up to doing a distance. You just was like, oh, 100-miler, Western States. Okay, I'm going to go run that. So I really wanted to run Western States, and that was my thing. It's like that was the 100-miler that everybody strives to run, and I remember seeing it when I was a little girl on TV. So I was like, I got to do a 100-miler. I don't feel like I'm an ultra runner until, because everybody around me that I was listening to on the trail when I would be racing, they're talking about all these 100-milers. And I'm like, yeah, I got to run a 100-miler. I'm an ultra runner. So it was just my thought. I mean, of course, if you run a 50K, I don't dismiss any of that nowadays. I'm like, everybody is an ultra runner. If you run over 26.2, you are an ultra runner, but it was just my whole thought process. It was like, I wanted to run a 100-miler. And in my head too, I just thought, my dad would, if he was alive, that would be like a big thing for him. He'd be right there with me, pacing me. So that's, why. But 26.2, you are an ultra runner.
All right, we have a question in the comment box from Brandy. I've been running trail ultras for 10 years and have been inspired by you. I've had a couple, oops, I lost it. Hold on one second. Okay. I've had a couple of low seasons in those years, like now with run groups and ultras being canceled. Any advice on how to get through the times, because she's a social runner? So there are so many virtual races, and I understand that, like, you miss that being around people. Depending upon where you live, I mean, right now we're still kind of like, we can't have any like large gatherings and stuff, but you just got to kind of switch gears in your head and maybe sign up for a virtual race to keep you on point and keep accountability, so you'll get out and motivate yourself. And there's, some of these are the virtual races, they're giving you a month, 2 months to run 100 miles. I mean, you don't have to do it at once, but sign up for that and give yourself like a couple of weeks to do it or whatever. But it is hard for a lot of people in these times, not being able to be around people. Hugging people is a big thing. I was just like, I can't hug anybody. Oh my God. So, it is hard, but you just gotta,
audiobooks and when your headphones and going out instead of listening to music, do some positive influence like motivational speakers, listen to some of them and just try to get out on your own. You just gotta do it. You just gotta go out by yourself because you can't, in large gatherings, or maybe get a couple of friends because you can still social distance when you're running, and everybody sign up for a virtual race. So, there's so many different distance you could do: 5K, 10K, half marathon, what up to, like right now I'm finishing up this week my run across Tennessee, which is 5,000K. So, there's all distance, but just try to stay positive too. It's a hard times right now. It's really scary for a lot of us. So
thank you. Good advice. And did you know that it's not really just 1,000 or 1,000K that, Laz is kind of messing with people?
Let's go a little bit more. But
yeah.
I will be finished by the 5th or 6th. I forget. Because I have all these other ones I'm signed up for, and I'm like, I can't. Everybody's like, are you going to turn around and go back? And I'm like, no, because I have 3 other races I'm inputting right now for, and it's like, you can do them all together, which is fine. That's what they're doing. And I'm signing up to help all my friends that are race directors. It's like, I want these organizations to be able to make it through this too. So, but I'm like, no, I don't want to keep remembering to input more things each day because it could get overwhelming. And with me and my personality, I'm getting like, because I'm like 200 miler next week, and I'm like, I want to be finished my Tennessee thing this week, so then I can just go into the 200 miler and do that the next week.
There you go. Well, I'm going to put a plug in when we talk about virtual races. Ornery Mule has Midwest states that started June 1st. Is it too late to get signed up, or can you still sign up, Michelle?
Yes, you can still sign up. You can, because you've got 10 days or less. So 10 days or less, you got to run it. So all the way, if you want to do it all on the last day, you can sign up on the last day of the month.
There you go.
We have 540 runners, I think, today.
That's awesome. Runners are signing up in droves, which is really good, and it's helping all the organizations out, which is just fantastic. I love hearing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun, and it's a way to be together while we're apart.
And you can motivate each other and follow each other, and then the tagging and the hashtagging and stuff, and just keeps everybody accountable too, and motivates each other.
Yep. And that's sort of a reason we started this group, was to keep everybody together while we're apart. And every week when we get together, it's kind of like going on a long run together. And it's that time to bring us together with our passion of running and get to know each other. So the questions are piling up for you. So I'm going to ask another one. This is from Megan. I know you were supporting Candace Burt on her FKT attempt as the country started to shut down. What was it like leaving that bubble of the Arizona Trail and seeing how things had changed?
It was crazy. So, because we were all in this RV together, and every day, like, we'd go on social media, and whoever we'd be switching off and pacing her, and then we're like, what is happening? Like, I had no clue, and we were just like freaking out. And I'm like, Candace, if they close down the Grand Canyon, you're not going to be able to make it through. And we were, she has 2 kids, so she was like freaking out too, because she's like, my kids are out of school now and they're with their dad. And we were just like, it wasn't until I came home that I realized what was happening, because we were in our bubble, like the message, the question. We were in a bubble, and it wasn't until we all departed that bubble that we really saw what was going on. And it was pretty scary. Just being out there, we felt safe because we were all together, so we weren't interacting with anybody but ourselves, and then just reading everything that was happening, races getting canceled, things were shutting down. It was scary times for us, for all of us, for sure, because we were just like, what's going to happen, and I just got in my car. We all got in our vehicles and headed our own ways home, and it was like, it wasn't until I came back to Bishop and I was like, everything is shut, like there's nothing happening. So it was scary, and we just all felt safe being together. And so once we had to depart, it was pretty scary.
That must have been a weird feeling, something you never anticipate, right?
None of us have experienced this.
Right.
And us being in this beautiful, like, we're on the trail, there's nobody around, but we kept getting notification from the Arizona Trail Association saying, people to go off trail, like these cities, the small towns are not going to be able to accommodate anybody because they're all shutting down, and most of those people are older that live there, and they're not going to be able to help the hikers that are coming through. So they were sending us updates, but we were self-contained, so we weren't relying on anything. That had plenty of food that lasts probably a couple more months out there. So yeah, but it's just a weird time. Very weird. It still is, but things are coming back, but it's just so odd. It's an odd time for everybody.
Okay. Well, I have another question from Dawn. Do you have any favorite positive self-talk that you use, mantras or motivational books that you lean on?
I actually do a lot of thought processing, thinking positive. So, I've had friends in my life and family members that have passed away, or people that are sick with illnesses, especially like right now. And I use them a lot in my head to keep me going, because we can get that negativity going, like, oh, this sucks, especially in a race. It's like mile 70 and you're like, oh, I just want to quit. I don't want to keep going. I don't feel good. My legs hurt, whatever. And I always try to switch it up and go, think about how many people would switch places with you. If you could take their illness and their disease, they'd come right on this trail and be there and finish this run. So I use that a lot. I just use positive, because people are like, how do you feel positive? I go, I just think about like how grateful, I am to be able to do this. Because one day it may be taken away from me. So I'm being grateful that I have this opportunity to be out there. And so I just think positive. I don't listen to a lot of positive stuff on my podcast. I listen to a lot of murder mysteries, which is completely nuts, because I'm out there in the trails and then I see somebody and I'm like, that could be a murderer. There's like, a baggie, and it's like, is there a dead body? So I'm just, Candace got me into that. So I've been listening to all these crazy, and I've been listening to a lot of old murders, like from the 1900s, and interesting stories like that. So it's a lot of like history stuff too. Yeah. But when you're alone at night running by yourself here, when you're doing these solo things, it's not good. It's like, what is it? I'll turn my headlamp off. I'm like, I don't want anybody to see me out here. What if there's some scary person out in the middle of the wilderness? Actually, in the wilderness is probably the safest place to be. So.
Right. But I can see how you'd be a little freaked out.
Yeah, it is. I do get freaked out, but it's good. It keeps me on my toes.
So we have a comment from Connie, and I'm wondering if you have any words of wisdom or advice for her. Last year, I attempted my first 100-miler. I'm 63 and not a fast runner. I thought I was mentally and physically prepared, but it was not my day. I have felt unfinished, but not sure if I can do it, especially since most of the races are being canceled this year. I felt like a failure.
No, I've dropped out of many 100, and a lot of people take several times to drop out. First of all, you're awesome. 63 years old, you're not letting age deter you from even doing it. My old roommate, Jerry, he ran his first 100-miler at 65. So, you have plenty of years left to do it. Sometimes you just have to go through that DNS to learn. You learn what didn't work and what worked. So, next time you go, you have a stronger mind, because going into that distance is totally different. If you go from 50 miles to 100, that's a whole nother 50 miles. When you think about it and you're attempting it, it could be overwhelming. So what I do is, when you're out there, maybe you didn't break it down into small portions, and that could be part of the reason why you DNF. You may have just looked at the big picture and got overwhelmed. So I just go, even from the get-go, go to 20 miles, go to 50 miles, and then I'll start just doing aid station to aid station to aid station. And those are, those little tiny bits will get you to the finish if you just keep it small and don't think about it as an overwhelming thing. And that's how I've gotten through most of them. It's like, even when I want to quit, I'm like, just try to get to that next aid station, see how you feel, and things will switch. And got to have, a crew and a pacer are very, very helpful too. If she didn't have a pacer or a crew, maybe having a pacer or a crew to motivate and to help her keep going would be a good thing to have, especially in your first ones. I mean, my first one I didn't because I didn't know anybody that ran, and I learned really quickly, like the whole thing, you know. But try again. Don't be discouraged, and you're amazing for starting. Look at how many people won't even attempt something like that. So you've got plenty of time. Maybe pick another race, maybe an easier one. I'm not sure which race you did, but there's so many out there. So just do another one. Sign up when everything opens back up, and don't be discouraged. Look at it as a positive thing. You learn from your mistakes, and that's how we learn. So.
Awesome. Great advice and words of wisdom. I appreciate that. And Connie does too. She says, thank you. I met you at Pistol, my first 100K. You are awesome. So.
Oh, thank you. That one hurts because it's so flat.
I'm going to turn it over to Robert. He has a question for you.
Hi, Catra and
Hi.
TruMan. Hi, how are you?
Good. Truman's over here lounging.
There he is.
So
first, I just wanted to say thank you so much for writing such an inspiring, incredible, significant book. It made a difference over the many hours that I was out there running. I listened to it the whole time, so thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And that's why I wrote it, to help people. It's like when you have to open up, it's like, why not? I know it's going to, if it helps one person, great. But I know it's helping many other people that, you know, that they don't have to be ashamed of things that have happened, and learn, you know, if I can do something, you can do it. If I can run 100 miles, you can run 100 miles. If I can run 200 miles, you can.
Yeah. In spite of anything that we've gone through in our past, our experiences, we still have an opportunity to achieve great things and inspire other people.
Exactly.
Yeah. So my question is, in chapter 8, which is titled Learning to be Tough on the Trail, I was wondering, what are the character traits do you think that a great runner like yourself has that could inspire someone like me and the other runners on here?
Well, I'm not a great runner. It's not been easy. It's been a lot of work for me. I'm not a natural runner, hated running. So, but you know, just being consistent, you know, and setting goals, like not big overwhelming goals, like smaller goals, and being, you know, that makes you hold accountability, you know, setting these goals and then going for them. But I was, you know, afraid of being in the wilderness. I was afraid of a lot of that. And when you kind of force yourself to do stuff like, you know, say, go out for a night run if you haven't done a night run by yourself, you know, and just go and do something that's kind of scary, you know, when you're not used to doing something like that. And that builds strength, and it makes you a little tougher, and it makes you less afraid of doing things, you know.
Awesome.
So especially with all these other challenges, like they had that Yeti challenge where you, for 24 hours, like every 4 hours you had to go out, and like in the middle of the night, I'm like, oh God, I got to go out. And I didn't want to run around the roads. I feel safer on the trail, so I'd have to drive to the trailhead. Yeah. So, but just doing something like that on your own, you could do that, like put on a challenge, because there's that, I think there's a 4x4 48 where you run four miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. So yes. I love all these different challenges because it's getting people out there that normally wouldn't do it, because I'm noticing, you know, looking through news feeds and stuff, and I'm like, this is good. This like helps you mentally to become more confident in yourself as a runner. And that's what you need, just to be more confident in what you can do. Because then if you're confident, then you're going to be able to succeed at whatever you want to do.
Awesome.
And I didn't have a lot of confidence. I didn't have much confidence when I was younger or before. I mean, even when I started running, I didn't have a lot of confidence. But then, like, just doing stuff on my own, you know, and not, well, I was afraid, but just building up that strength just to get out the door and go, okay, you're going to go out in the wilderness by yourself and do a double on the John Muir Trail. You know, that was pretty scary. I was like, I'm going to get killed. The bears are going to eat me. Everything's going to happen. Nothing happened. I'm alive. You know? And now I'm not so afraid. I enjoy being out there, but doing something like that when you have never done anything like that by yourself is pretty scary. And that's why I think I still have that double record, because nobody wants to break it. But I was so scared. I moved so fast for hours and hours each day. I was afraid of just like staying still. If I kept going, then I felt safer.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Heather has a question. Heather, would you like to ask it, or would you like me to read it? I know Heather has been super, super excited for you to come, so I want to give her the opportunity if she wants to.
I can. I mean, it doesn't matter. I was sorry. My question is it's definitely a little bit more serious, but you know, you write in your book about your eating disorder and just kind of how through running and finding, you know, plant-based food, you were able to kind of, I guess, overcome it. But I guess that's my question. Have you overcome it, or is it still something that you struggle with? Or, you know, because for me, I struggle, and especially during hard races or just difficult times, those thoughts just come back, and it's hard to kind of free myself from it. So love to know what you do.
It does pop into my head from time to time, but I try to tell myself, especially I'm older, you know, it's like as I've gotten older, to be honest with you, I just feel stronger and I feel more secure. When I was younger, that was a lot harder until I definitely, when I hit my 50s, it was like, who cares? You know, this is my body, and this body has done these amazing things. And I do eat healthy, and I go and I'll eat vegan macaroni and cheese is a junk food for me or whatever, you know, but I just try to remember to eat clean and eat a lot of calories. I'm not big into weighing myself, but I know in the summer I tend to lose weight, so I have to eat a lot more calories doing these 200. And I know, you know, we can get stuck in that bubble like by how we look, but it's like we have to learn how to love ourselves. And once you can love yourself and just be appreciative to the bodies that we have, then you can overcome those feelings. But it's still, you know, I suffer from depression, and from time to time that stuff creeps in. But like I said, I try to do the positive, like, you know what, you are lucky you can do what you can do. You know, I've weighed more or weighed less, and my running, you know, is still the same. So, and our bodies are all shapes and sizes, so we just have to learn how to love this shell that we're in. You know, it's more in our mental attitude, and once we can overcome that. But I think I've done a lot of work on it, and it really, until I like hit my 50s, it was like I would struggle now and then. That, you know, I never went back to like, oh, I'm not going to eat and I'm going to eat an apple a day. No, I always just said eat cleaner. If you're falling off that way, then just make sure you continue to eat cleaner. But yeah, I think it's something as we age, we just learn to accept ourselves more, I guess. I don't know. Seems like I have.
Thank you. Do you still?
I was gonna say thank you. I'm gonna be 38 next week, so I guess I have to wait a little bit to get to my 50s. But that's okay.
Beautiful. And you know what, 30s, so I will tell you, like in my 30s, I had a lot of struggles. That age, it's like just, you know, once you're out of your 20s, you're kind of learning stuff. Then in your 30s, you're like kind of understanding what you want in life. And then once you hit 40, you're building more confidence in yourself. So, but yeah, just, you know, continue doing good things, you know, exercise, eat healthy, and then just try to lose that, like, you know, what you see in a magazine or what you know what I mean? Because people message me and they're like, well, can I still run ultras? I don't have one of those runner bodies. I'm like, what do you mean? We have all shapes and sizes. There are, you know, and I'm just so proud of, like, in what we do, we have all shapes and sizes of women doing these things, 100 milers, 200 milers. It's like, there's not, before, you know, when I started running, it was like a skinny 6'10" people, you know, that was a runner, and that's how I thought I had to look. I had to be as skinny as possible because that's what runners look like back then. So, but now it's just like having a strong, healthy body is most important. And if you have kids, I don't have kids, but if you have kids, it's like you don't either. Okay. But you know, it's like you want to have a good example.
No, I'm a dog mom as well. So.
Okay, so, but yeah, just you know, you'll learn. Just stay strong and just be positive and eat healthy and just don't be hard on yourself.
All right, thanks for asking that.
Yeah.
I have another question in the chat from Patti, and she wants to know if you do any other supplemental activities like yoga or strength training.
Yoga, I practice a little bit of yoga, but it's just I can't sit still. As you can see, I'm very like I have to be on the go. So I used to rock climb a lot, and I kind of got away from that. I want to start because I live in Bishop, and there's a lot of bouldering around, and that's something I like doing. But I do a lot of fast packing, so it's more of hiking and running. So I'll go out on a long trail and go out for 7 days and do that. But no yoga, no hiking with the dog. So mostly running. And I do work out. So I have weights and, you know, obviously I can't go to the gym now. So, but I have like kettlebells and balls and stuff like that I work out with and, you know, exercise ball and all that. But no, I wish I had, like, especially right now, it's like I'm just running because of all these virtual things that I'm just signed up for. I'm like, I just want to relax for a minute. But I do like going out on the, you know, doing the fast packing because that's a whole different thing. You're mostly, you know, you're hiking every hill and then you jog down, you know, the passes or whatever and spending the night in the mountains like that. It's just like, just being able to do that and being out there by myself, I love. That's what I live for. And they're finally opening up to where they're allowing people to go back into the wilderness with permits and stuff. So I'm going to actually take my other dog, Baxter, out and do like a 2-day thing with him just to get him acclimated. Like TruMan's fine, fast packing, but Baxter hasn't done anything like that. So I'm going to take him on his own.
So that kind of leads into the next question by Megan. This might be a question for TruMan.
Okay,
she just booked her first fast pack weekend, just one night to start, and she was looking for advice on the essential gear and things to consider with bringing her running dog along. What would TruMan say?
So TruMan would say, make sure you bring lots of treats. But the most important thing is a first aid kit for your dog. A lot of people don't think about that, but know in advance. I'm not sure what kind of dog she has. I have a small dog, so I can carry them out very easily out of the wilderness. So if you have a bigger dog, you want to make sure that you have like some sort of sling that you can carry them with. And in fact, I just met a bunch of hikers when I was running the other day that live in town, and they have this 100-pound husky, and I was like, whoa, I'm like, how far do you take it? And she goes, well, we don't go alone with it. It's like her and her boyfriend go because it's a large dog. So you want to make sure you have a way to get your dog out of the wilderness if something happens. Bring stuff for their paws, their pads. That's what I'm saying, first aid, something you can wrap their feet up or buy some disposable booties because you don't know if they get cracked paws and you're out there. So the most important thing is bringing a first aid for your dog. And I carry like gauze, like wrap things, lubrication so I can put on their paws. They get chafed around their harnesses, so make sure you're paying attention to that. You know, I don't know what size dog she has, but if she has a small dog, then it's much easier. But yeah, first aid is really important.
Megan, do you want to share on your dog?
What kind of dog?
Sorry, they were here and now they're sleeping on the couch. So they are bigger dogs, English pointers. And
okay.
Great advice because I don't have a first aid kit for them yet.
So yeah, get some stuff together. Are you going to take both of them or just one?
I haven't decided yet, actually. This is a younger one.
Oh, yeah. Well, and you're only going to do like something easy for the night, so you can see how they react when they're sleeping outdoors too with you.
Yeah, and they have camp, but it'll definitely be a new thing for them to backpack.
Do they have little packs that they wear?
No, they're spoiled. They don't have to carry any of their stuff. So that's
lucky dogs, yeah. But yeah, I would just say bring, a few things that you definitely for the pads. I mean, I would worry about that mostly, but be more aware when you have them with you out on the trail. I don't know if you guys have snakes where you're at. So just
but lots of tips. Lots and lots of tips.
Yeah. So just check them every night because they're going to get on you if you guys are sleeping together. Yeah. But
You're-
yeah, no, just try to get a little first aid kit together, and even look online. If you can Google, there's some vets that talk about the different things to carry. But like I said, with my guys, they're so little that I can carry them out if they're having an issue.
Yeah, the sling is something I should do.
Yeah, they do. If you look online, and I forget the company, but it's a way to put it even on your back, and you can carry like 100-pound dog out of the, if you're strong enough. But how much do your dogs weigh?
They're around 40 to 50. The bigger ones.
So that's perfect. You'll be able to carry your dog out with one of those slings. But yeah, definitely get one of those slings. It's pretty basic, and it just kind of goes around their waist, and it's comfortable. Like they're, it's just holding their waist kind of thing, and it's pretty compact. And there are a lot of mountain people that go up mountains. They carry those because of their dogs. Obviously you can't carry them out, so you need help. But yeah, definitely get a sling. That would be really important. And have fun. That sounds so fun. I'm going to take Baxter. I'm hoping to take him in a couple of weeks. So they just open up for permit here where I'm at in Bishop. And I thought I might take him on a 15-mile loop. And he'd do the whole loop, but I would just want to just see how he just, out there spending the night without TruMan, because he looks to TruMan for safety, but it's like, no, we'll go together. TruMan's fine. He just goes into sleeping days. And I've taken him. A 3-day was the longest I took TruMan on, but I want to get Baxter trained enough to do like a 10-day thing, like next year. Not this year, he's too young. So.
Can't wait to see it on Instagram.
Yeah, and have fun with your dog. That sounds fun.
Thank you. How many miles a week do your dogs run with you?
Well, TruMan used to run 35 to 45 miles a week.
Wow.
Back in his day. So now I don't really run him past. He just did a half marathon, a virtual half marathon, and he's so much slower now, but it's okay. He's allowed to be. So Baxter did it like in 3 hours, and I had my boyfriend running with Baxter, and TruMan took 4:20, but he was moving his little legs, like a run mileage. And I was going to do it in 2 days because it was, a virtual thing. And I thought, oh no, I don't want to do this to him. He's, older, and he hasn't gone past 10 miles in almost 2 years now. And no, he was fine. He just kept going. And I was like, okay, let's do the whole thing. And so he was fine. But now I don't like taking him past 5, really. He does good up until that point. Like he's moving pretty good. And Baxter's always like running into him and trying to play with him when we're running. So, and TruMan just wants to go. Like he wants to go ahead, and Baxter wants to play. So. But Baxter's, I'm working him up because he's just turned a year old, but he's done 15 miles twice, and he's done 13 miles twice. So he's getting good.
Wow.
So and I just need to focus more on taking him alone without TruMan, so he can build up his confidence, because he looks at TruMan. Like today, I took him out for a run on the road, which I don't think I've ever taken him on the road without TruMan. Like we'll do a 5-mile run to Starbucks, and I thought I'm gonna leave TruMan and focus to see how well Baxter can go. And he was doing 10-minute miles and never got tired, and he was consistent. And I had my boyfriend come pick him up, so I'm building him up slowly. But if he does well, and then once he's about 14 months, they're going to do a whole X-ray on him because I want to make sure his spine's okay, because I don't want to start getting him into ultra distance until I make sure he's okay. With dachshunds, they can have back problems, and I've always gotten spine X-rays with TruMan, because people would be like, you can't run with those little dogs. And it's like, I'm going to get an X-ray to prove that I'm not hurting him. So now I'm going to do that with Baxter, but my vet said really doing an X-ray before they're 14 months doesn't really show anything. So,
okay.
But he seems to be good, but I'm not going to like push him anything past like the 15 that we've done, and that'll just be every couple of months or something that it goes that far.
Right. So what's your advice on it when you get a young dog and getting them started running? Just short distances for a while, or how do you break them in?
Yeah, well, it depends on the size too. So smaller dogs, by the time they're a year old, you can start training them to run, really. You got to wait about 14 months or 18 months on a larger dog, because there's something that the bones have to develop, and it takes that amount of time. So I would hike a lot with Baxter when we first got him. So, and he'd run ahead, dogs are going to naturally run. but yeah, you build him up slowly. I started like when we first got him, he was 4 months old, and I took him out like 2 miles and, you know, let him off leash, and he immediately, I didn't have to train him off leash. He just followed TruMan. So it's good if you have another dog because they're kind of the teacher. And so he never ever has run away off leash. He's like perfect on off leash unless there's poop and he wants to eat it. So that's the only issue we have. But yeah, so you just kind of build them up slowly. But when they're under a year, you just don't really want to take them running, you know, like let them go at their pace and kind of run with them at their pace. Don't push them to go too fast, you know, until they're fully developed. So, and it's like I said, smaller dogs, about a year, you can start to exercise running, you know, specifically running with them. And dogs build up, I think, faster than people. And I don't know that for a fact. I'm not a veterinarian, but I think because they're naturally meant to run. And when you're even walking, dogs kind of are trotting with you. So, but I noticed that right away, even with TruMan, it was like his buildup was pretty quick. When I first got him, he was 6.5 and never ran, and he was afraid of everything. But, you know, I took him like 3 miles the first time, and then like by the second week he was doing a 10K, you know, so it was like his buildup was pretty quick. So, but with TruMan being a puppy, obviously you want to go slowly until they're old enough. But I'm not going to have him do anything long until he's 2, and then I know for a fact that I don't want to do any damage to his body. Because genetically, he's a dachshund, and, you know, who knows what kind of inbreeding kids. It came from a backyard breeder that had horrible conditions for these 96 puppies and dogs that were there. So I don't know what kind of inbreeding she was doing. So I just want to make sure he's going to be okay.
Right.
I'm all about my dog's safety.
Thanks for sharing about that. There's another question in the chat for you from Brandy. Did you ever have any anxiety or fight or flight when you're running alone? If so, any advice on how to feel confident running alone without fear?
Yeah, I would say yes. There was many times, I mean, I'm trying to think back, it's been so long, but yes, when I first started running on trails, like when I'd hear coyotes, I thought, oh my God, they're going to eat me, and I'd flip out like the minute it started sunning down, and I would freak out. I mean, I would get in a panic, yeah. But, you know, the more you do something and you're out there on a trail, the less afraid you become, because you understand, like, no, everything's not going to get you. Like, I thought coyotes just attack people, but they don't. I've never heard of anybody where I used to live being attacked by the coyotes, but from somebody that wasn't a wilderness person, that was pretty scary. It was like the minute I hear them, like if I hear coyotes now and I'm running, it's like, yeah, where are they? You know, I hear them, but I'm not afraid of them. But the more you do something, the more confident you'll become getting out there. And so, yes, there was many times, I mean, I would turn around and run super fast back because I was just scared. I'm like, you know, but yeah, I don't have those feelings anymore unless, you know, and I can't say I've see strange people on my trails because I don't, you know, so I'm not afraid, you know. If you live in a city, when you're near a trailhead where there's a lot of more people, it could be pretty tricky, but I've not experienced that living in Bishop. I feel pretty safe, but I'm always looking around me, just as long as you're aware. And, you know, I carry pepper spray, and I didn't start carrying pepper spray until one time when TruMan almost got attacked by a German Shepherd, and I was like, I should be carrying this all the time. So now I have bought it from all my friends. So I've been carrying it for about 4 years, and I carry a knife only because people are like, why do you carry a knife? And I go, well, you know, I've seen 14 mountain lions now on my runs. Not here in Bishop. They don't have mountain lions in the high desert, really. I mean, in the wilderness, you might see them. But I thought, if I ever get attacked by a mountain lion, you have to fight back. There's no getting away from the mountain lion. And, you know, what are the chances a person's going to get attacked by a mountain lion? Pretty slim, you know, especially in California. I mean, you see that, you know, most people will never see one in their lifetime, and I've just been lucky. But I always carry a knife just for that, in case I have to fight back. So a knife and pepper spray.
There you go. So everybody go out there and get yourself a knife and a pepper spray.
Yeah, and just having pepper spray, something like that, you'll feel a little bit safer, you know, when you're out running. And like I said, I'm more worried about, you know, running on the road than I am on a trail. And mainly the pepper sprays if the dog comes at my dog or comes at me. I've been chased here in town and I've had to use it on a dog once before. It was like a big dog came at me, and I was like, stop, stop. And it was like, peace out, the whole 9 yards. And I was like, stop, stop. And it went coming right at me. And so I just scored it, and it turned around and went away. So I don't know if it hurt the eyes or anything, or if it just, me spraying it stunned it. So.
All right, well, we're almost to the end, but I do have one last question for you. Can you share what your favorite tattoo you have is and some meaning behind it?
Probably my newest one, which is here. It's this little Hello Kitty.
Okay.
And it says, be brave and keep going. So I use that in a lot of my races, and then she has the 200-mile bib on. So I got that when I did my first Triple Crown of 200. And that is actually one of my little mottos. So I have this little, it looks like a coin. It's a little, I don't know what it is. I bought it in a Moab. And it says, be brave and keep going. So I wear that on my pack, and to remind myself, like when I'm having a hard time, just be brave and keep going. So that is like one of my favorite quotes, I guess, be brave and keep going. So.
Nice.
And that's my favorite.
That's kind of a nice send off for us, but I do wonder one more thing. What's next for you? Do you have a big challenge planned next?
Well, race wise, I'm hoping Moab 240 happens, but I would like to do some fastest known times in the Sierras. There's a lot of trails out there that don't have women's times down. Nice. Like they're called FKTs, fastest known times. So there's a website, and I've been looking at it, and I'm like, I wonder why there's no women times, because I know there's a lot of faster women that live in this area, but they just didn't document a time or use a GPS and all of that. So I would like to do an out and back on the High Sierra Trail. So that's my next big thing, if I can score a permit, because I have to start from Whitney, and it's really hard to get a permit right now. So, and they're just opening the permitted process, and I didn't get in on the lottery. So other than that, no, I'm just doing all these virtual things. So, my next one is next week. I'm doing a 200-miler Rise Up 200 by Candace. Her race organization is putting that on. So, and I'd like to do that in 85 hours. So that's my next challenge, is just doing that. And I have a friend coming out from the Bay Area who's never run 100, and I'm like, Mark, I got to be out there for 4 days. You can do a 100-miler. We'll break it up for you. So I'm going to help. My goal is to help him do a 100-miler, even though it's a virtual run. I'm like, you got to do it. So, yeah. But I have nothing planned other than Moab 240 and Javelina 100, because who knows? But I would like to be, next year I'll do the Triple Crown of 200. And then there's 2 races that are going to be happening next year that are over 300 miles long. So I'm going to be doing those too.
Nice. So you'll be ready after all of this is over.
Well, I'm ready right now. Yeah. That's why I'm like, I got to go for these fast times. I'm feeling really strong, especially last week. I did one of the challenges that was all, you had to climb as much elevation you could in a week. And I was going to try to do a double Everest. And my boyfriend Phil had surgery, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do that, because I got to pick him up. And then Truman had an issue, but he's fine. And so I was like, okay, my goal. My favorite number 3. So I'm like, I'm going to do 33,333. And I stopped after that. Like I had a whole day to finish going more elevation, but that was a lot of work, getting up 5:30 every morning and going, okay, go over here. You got to do 2,500 feet, come home, and then drive to where it was cooler, because it was 100 degrees every day. And so I didn't want to do repeats where it was really hot. So I would go out and do actually 3,000 feet of climb in one location, and then I drive to where it was cooler up in the mountains and do another location. So it was a challenge.
Sounds challenging. I was following you a little bit on Instagram.
Yeah, that was fun though. That's a good challenge, because I never think about how much elevation have I done in a week. I mean, in the 200, you do a lot. Like there's some of them that you're doing 50,000 feet of climbing in your 200, but that's the span of 200. I did it in a span of 86 miles, that it was like, oh God, because you're looking at your thing and you're like, I gotta still climb this many feet. And it's like, but I listened to all those murder podcasts and I got through.
You were scared, so you were going faster.
No, just before I knew it, I was like at the top. I'm like, oh wow, that's cool. I'm up here now.
Well, Catra, I want to thank you for coming tonight and for being an inspiration for so many people, and really setting the bar high for women. you know, to go out there and do what you can, right? And challenge yourself and not be afraid. So I really appreciate that. But I am going to turn it over to Michelle a second, because I'm hoping maybe she can persuade you into running one of our Ornery Mule races, because I would love to meet you at one. So tell her what we have, Michelle.
Tell me.
Okay, let's see. So you like the long stuff. So Kettle Moraine 100 is one of our races.
I wanted to do that one. That's a classic. It's a classic.
Yeah. And this year's our 25-year anniversary. We postponed it to September, and I think it's going to happen. I feel pretty confident. DNR has told me that they're processing the permit right now. So we'll see. Like, everything's been so fluid. So we'll see. And then
when in September? Do you know?
Oh man, what is it? September 19th, right? Or is that?
I'll have to look, because I think one of my 72-hour races got moved to September, and Tahoe 200 is in September, and I have to work that race.
Oh, okay.
But yes, definitely, Kettle Moraine has been a race I've been wanting to do for years. I just haven't had a chance to do it.
Well, good.
I definitely want to do that.
We'll take good care of you.
Yeah, so next year for sure.
Okay.
My boyfriend will be all fixed up then, and it's like I feel so guilty. I'm constantly racing, and he can't race because he broke his pelvis a couple of years ago. Now he's finally getting everything fixed, and he tore his ligament or his tendon at 200 last year, and he's getting hip replacement, but he should be able to be running by then. So maybe we'll come out for that.
We'll look forward to seeing you. And then we also do the Hennepin 100.
That's another one too. That's a good course. I've had friends that have run that. Yes. And that one is in April, right? Or
that one's in August or in October. October, I'm sorry. October 3rd. It's always the first weekend of October.
Okay.
And then let's see. We're going to have another race in September next year, but we haven't named it yet. We got the Frozen Gnome 50K, which is in January if you want to run in snow. Yeah. And we've got Earth Day, which is a really fun, like, family style race. I mean, we've got 10 races, so this could go on for a while.
For sure. I think next year, Kettle Moraine, I'll put that on my calendar for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, because I've been wanting to run that, and it's like, I definitely next year.
Okay, we'll reach out to you and take good care of you there.
Yeah, for sure.
That would definitely be awesome. So, all right, Steve, do you have any last words before we go?
Yeah, we don't get to do this every day, Catra. So we're going to take a screenshot picture. It's kind of our version of a selfie, if you don't mind. So
wait, let me get Sherman in here too.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody faces the camera there. And 1, 2, 3. Got it. Thanks, guys.
So thanks everyone for coming. We'll see you again next Wednesday. We'll read the next 5 chapters. And Catra, of course, you're always welcome back.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it, you guys. And if you guys have any questions, you can always send them my way through Instagram or Facebook or whatever. So.
Awesome. And if you want a signed copy of her book, she does have a website that you can get a signed copy, and you can even get
CatraCorbett.com.
prints. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So great.
Thank you.
When I wake up, yeah, I know it's gonna be the longest day of my whole life. When I line up, yeah, I know definitely there's no chance without my crew led by my wife. If I'm drinking, then I may just make it through, cause my tailwind gives me everything I need. And if I lube up and I cover all the spots, I may survive without a major chafe or bleed.